This afternoon, I've spent a considerable amount of time that I didn't expect to be spending looking up documents and so forth in various places. I met with a person that I was working with, the forensics, and pulled out the affidavit. You can see right up here, it's the affidavit. I think you can see that. I don't know if it flips around on, on this camera or not, but this is the affidavit in support of a search warrant. And this is important because this morning, someone who follows my site claimed that somebody I had blocked by the name of JohninVA, who is a high government official in all likelihood. Um, I will not reveal how I know that at this time, but John, who likely works for the Defense Department, has decided that he is coming after me, claiming that I have lied and that I've misrepresented everything I've said on my site, not only about myself, but by extension about everybody else. I'm wondering if he saw the Kathleen Hembrick presentation before Axel, but in any event, I want to respond. So I have before me the affidavit. John mentions that I don't respond to any of the salacious parts of it, and in fact, I do in various places on my platform in various videos. So, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go through and find all the references. I've done enough of the homework, frankly. But I want to respond to what is in the affidavit so that you can hear just another way that the police are manipulating the judges and the public sentiment to get their way and get their convictions. I should point out, though, that John makes reference right away to what is actually in the affidavit at point 7. And I'll go right to the end of it and then backtrack. Point 7. On July 26, 2018, your affiant, that is the police officer that wrote this up, which was not Detective Bauer, by the way, it was Detective Spata, which might become significant as we go along. Your affiant became aware that Asian had previous interactions with juvenile, with a juvenile who reported Asian showed them images and videos of pornography. Well, I had completely forgotten that that was a thing on here because, again, I was worried about the conviction and the falsehoods put there. I didn't read this over. I haven't read it for many years. But John's very interested in it. And this proves I'm a liar because, of course, the police never lie when they write these things up. But I want you to just think about several things. Number one, if that's true, where was this juvenile or any affidavit from the juvenile, any deposition from the juvenile at my case, at my any of my hearings? This is the first that I remember seeing anything about it, and I wouldn't have remembered if John didn't tell me to look it up or suggest that I should look it up. I felt compelled to do it myself, obviously. Again, the affiant, the cop, became aware that I had previous interactions with a juvenile who reported Asian showed them images and videos of pornography. Now I know why, when I was fired from Fairfax County Public Schools, why at my so-called due process hearing, Cynthia Fitzgerald, who was one of the stooges who worked for Superintendent Braband, then superintendent, said that she thought I was having sex in and around my classroom. And when I asked her evidence for this, she said, quote, and it's in the transcript, I just think so. So see how we're going. We're getting an affidavit that suggests child pornography was shown to an actual child, and that has leapt to having sex with children in and around my classroom, which is laughable if you understood how ridiculously busy my schedule was, even if I wanted to do something like that. But let's go on. Let's back up and read the salacious details that John thinks is a smoking gun here. Okay? So the details begin, oh yeah, in point 5. Okay? So he says that the affiant is aware that the geolocation social media application has led to the identification of other users who are, and this is the lie, specifically on the application to solicit and engage with in sexual acts with juveniles. I had no idea that an adult dating and sex app had anything that had any juveniles there. I paid for a membership. I'd never been in any social media accounts, as I've said. And of course, I can't prove that, but they can't find any prior to 2018. So that might be proof there, don't you think? Well, during this time, so specifically, I was not on to find any juveniles. Why would I do that, by the way, since I was surrounded by them all the time? And if I wanted to make a move, I could have made it personally. I knew any number of gay students. I certainly didn't press any point with them at all. That wasn't my role. That wasn't what I was interested in. And I said that to Detective Bauer any number of times. I also said it to Alex VA, a point which doesn't make it into the affidavit. Watch how they skillfully twist things around as we go on. During this time, a user that they were on the app identified as me messaged Detective Bauer's undercover persona of a 14-year-old male indicating he wanted to chat. Well, the October 17th, 2019, or was it 2018? Now I'm forgetting. October 17th, 2018, pre-trial hearing, which will come up later here on this supposed child pornography bit here. During that interview, Detective Bauer admitted that he contacted me. Isn't that interesting? And I pointed that out, John in VA, in several of these videos. You must have missed that. So during these chats, Asian was aware of the persona he was chatting with was a 14-year-old male. Actually, I've been told almost 14, which would make it 13, almost 15, which would make it 14, and 14. So that doesn't mean that I was interested in having sex with a 14-year-old or a 15 or a 16-year-old, because I'd said several times I was not interested in that. That never shows up, of course. Okay, because what's my predisposition? Apparently, my predisposition is down in section 7 here. Your affiant became aware Asian had previous interactions with a juvenile, actual juvenile, who reported Asian showed them, I guess him, images and videos of pornography. Who was this person? No idea. Never showed up at trial, never mentioned again, except maybe at pretrial. Asian requested to speak with the persona, and a controlled phone call was initiated on July 23rd, 2018. No, that would have been on July 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 20, would have been around the 26th, actually, the day I was arrested. So the 23rd was the wrong date. And this is important, though, because on the 23rd, something did happen, though. 22nd or the 23rd, I'm not sure which, I'd have to look it up. But this is when I accidentally texted Zach, a real person who was 24, by the way, not 14, 24, and never said he was anything but 24, and accidentally continued the conversation to Detective Bauer, typing in the wrong spot. And I begin in the middle of a conversation in progress, so it's clear I think I'm doing the same conversation with the same person. John, of course, doesn't know that, doesn't pay attention, and apparently doesn't read anything or listen to anything that I've said on this subject. John wants me to lay out all my evidence for them, and I've offered to meet with John, but I won't meet him at the courthouse. Okay, and it is true, I certainly revoked that after he was increasingly ridiculous. But I'm not meeting at a courthouse, and John never suggested another place or another time that I recall, at least. I want to be fair to John, though John doesn't seem to be interested in being fair to me or to any of us who have gone through this hell. Reading further on here, why would I request a phone call? Because I had made the mistake and had talked sexually to not Alex VA, the alleged 14-year-old, but Zach, the 24-year-old, who's an actual person whom I actually met, to apologize, to say it wasn't intended for you, because I was afraid his reaction was so strident, so upset, and that he wasn't supposed to be on there at all soliciting a male, that I thought maybe he might be suicidal. Later on, I concluded that he might be trafficked. And I was wrong both ways. Of course, he was a persona, but at no time did I talk about having sex with him or anything else. Now, watch how they twist it around and assign context that they want for their narrative, not what actually happened. Okay. After more than a 6 minute phone call, there's actually two phone calls, the 8 minute and the 6 minute. Whereupon, in one of them, he claimed that Alex VA did, he had to hide. They were looking for him. He could get in trouble. It was very serious. And then the phone went dead, which might indicate trafficking. Again, this was late in the 2 week time frame, not the 3 week period that they say here, where I continued, quote, initiated, not true, and continued to chat with Detective Bauer's 14-year-old persona over a 3 week period, no, 2 week period. Minor detail, maybe, but you know, they're picking on everything. And you know what? This is not true. After more than 6 minute phone call, Asian directed Detective Bauer's 14-year-old persona to a private message on the geolocation social media application. No, I did not do that. I did not do that. Okay. I asked if he had seen the message. Why? Because he was acting so erratically and disappeared for a period of time. I wondered if he was okay. What they put in the court documents, though, is a blatant lie. They said I didn't send a message, I sent a picture to him. That's where things get very sticky because I clearly said message, but they told the judge, and in the transcript, it was a picture. Now, listen to this part. This is where they really start twisting it around. When the message was viewed, okay, stop right there. A message was viewed on the same day, the 23rd, that I supposedly had the phone call, actually on the 26th. I had noticed that Alex VA appeared on my phone to still be in the Grinder app, and I asked him to get off of it. So I asked the system administrator to block it. I asked them to suspend it. I received word from the system administrator and have talked about it in my videos that it was my request was received. I never received confirmation that they'd actually effected the change and they had done what they said they were going to do and suspended it. Detective Bauer, though, discovers before me that the Alex VA account is suspended. He says here, when the message was viewed, he leaves out the part he went there to try to see the message, which I desperately sent everywhere, and I couldn't see whether it got there or not. That at some point between when I sent the message and when the account was deactivated, it was defunct, and Bauer couldn't get access to the account. So he created a new one, which he called Alex. And he used a male bathroom icon. Again, viewers of my videos will piece it together and see that I've mentioned all this before and explained it in detail. So he didn't go right there to see the message. He had a problem. He couldn't get access to the account. Neither could I. All I could see was the last vestige where it had the little green light and Alex VA. And that's at some point where I had requested that it be defunct. What we don't know is how later pictures got there. And of course, they conflate the whole pictures thing. When the message was viewed, it was a picture of Asian pulling up his shirt, exposing his abdomen. First of all, a picture is a static image. So I wasn't pulling it up. It was already pulled up or something. So that makes it sound like it's a video, and that's not exactly the case. So the picture they're referring to was something I sent before Alex VA indicated that he was 14, when I thought that this was an adult account. They approached me, I talked to them, I'd learned from other people in the short time I was on that you have to send pictures or they won't pay attention to you. And so I did. I sent that picture. Only later did I learn the person was 14. They conveniently left that part out of here. Okay. The second picture, whoa, whoa, whoa. I sent one message and it wasn't a picture. It was call me because I was concerned. I think it was call me. It might have been how, are you okay? I'm worried. Call me. But I think it was two words call me. Why? Because I had made that terrible mistake and I wanted to hear from him and say, I intended it for Zach, an adult, not for you. Okay. The second picture was of Asian's erect penis, which he later confirmed was his in an interview. Well, they showed me a picture randomly, and I said, yes, it was me. Only later did they tell me that that picture ended up in the defunct account. Fine, but I never sent, how could I send it to an account that had been defunct? I wasn't aware that this was active. It clearly hadn't been active all this time for about over 2 weeks. So how did that get there? I don't know. Same thing with the message. I don't know when the message may have gotten there because I never saw it show up in that static picture of it. So I don't know, but I do know that the police did not secure my device and that I lost control of it on the 23rd, that same day that they claimed that these pictures were sent. So, did I send the pictures or did they plant the pictures? Okay. I certainly never sent the pictures with the intent of a minor seeing them. Okay. But that's not what they say later on because they say here, Asian, after sending the images, asked Detective R. Bauer's 14-year-old persona if he liked what he sent. That's not there. It's not there. Okay. There's no connection that says I liked or I asked if you liked that. Okay. That's something, as I recall, that was taken out of context. I'd have to go through the whole thing, but it just has the word liked in quotes here. So I'm not sure where that comes in, but it wasn't for these pictures because I hadn't seen them. Asian went on to state he wanted to meet up and do other things. Well, that again, two words taken completely out of context that are not in this framework. I never said I wanted to meet up to do other things. Okay, that's taken out of context. There was a concern I had for a young person who was saying that they were hiding, and he said, what would we do if we got together? And I said, I don't know. I'm concerned about you right now. I can't hear you very well. There's a lot of static. You're claiming that you're running. What are you running from? What is going on? None of that is in here to supply the context. None of it. Two words, other things. And you have to rely on the rest of the context for the affiant detective Spata. Asian selecting, which led to Asian selecting a designated meeting location. Yes, I did, near a school, because I feel comfortable at schools and I thought that that would be a safe place. I could go in. Usually at a school, there are personnel there all hours of the day. The park was adjacent to it, like right next to it, almost on school grounds. I thought that was a perfect place. If there was something going on, we could dart into the school, we could go to the police station, we could do whatever. But again, I was thinking on the fly, and that to me is a safe space. Okay. Asian was observed by other law enforcement surveillance units arriving at the designated location. Asian was arrested and spontaneously stated, I guess there's no boy here. Yeah, I did. Because when I got there, I saw several people. It was pouring, it was dark, several young people ducking under. Some people were looking at me, they were looking at their phones, and I was wondering if one of them was Alex VA. As I went to text, then I saw something like Detective Bauer, DET Bauer, and I went, what? And then I was surrounded. Okay. After Asian's arrest, this is curious. Point six. He was interviewed and admitted to having other electronic internet portal devices at his home. Yeah, don't we all? Don't we have other things connected to the internet? Additionally, Asian confirmed he was aware of the age of the undercover persona and knew he was meeting a 14-year-old male. No, I knew I was meeting a young person, but I wasn't meeting them for sex. Also, not in here, or John VA's expert analysis, there was nothing in my car at the time. no sex paraphernalia. So if I thought this was my big chance to score with Alex VA, why didn't I have anything there? By the way, where is the predisposition that I had ever done anything with a child? Never. There was no further evidence of anything prior to this or after this. John likes to bring up CC unit, but there's nothing in the CC unit video which says I was there to meet a child either. So all the doubts, benefits of the doubt go to uh, the Alex VA police officer, Detective Bauer, Detective Spata, apparently by proxy, Zaya Getasatamani, and all these other people. They all get passes except for me. I don't get a pass. Okay, and I get it. John wants me to sit down and go through all the evidence, but as I said, what you're going to find is conversations where I'm trying to align with this kid and protect him to get him to give me information so I can get together with him. There's no talk about sex at all, and there's no leading up to that at all. It's all shotgunning, trying to find something that they can twist around into a something when in fact it's a nothing. But this one's even more worrying. The very last line of section 6, excuse me. Asian stated he had previously chatted with other kids online through this social media application and others. Complete falsehood. I never said that I chatted with kids online in this social media application and others. I may have said I've talked with kids online because I had. As a tutor, I did Zoom tutoring. I did conversations through email, answering kids' questions. Sure, occasionally I would talk to kids at home, but always spoke to the parents first and got their permission. And that was very occasional. Compare that to former superintendent of Prince William County Schools, Steve Waltz, who had long conversations around midnight with middle schoolers. And he never even got arrested, much less suspended while they did an investigation. Not even that, because he's wealthy and powerful, and I am not. But nevertheless, he stated previously chatted with other kids online. Kids, by the way, is in parentheses. That's kind of interesting too. Through this, meaning Grindr, social media application, and others. No, I never said I communicated with anybody through Grindr at all. Find it. I don't know where it is. You have to suddenly squeeze something to get some meaning out of it, apparently, and you have to do it by conflating things around. The rest of it is boilerplate language from affidavits. The next one goes on to say your affiant is aware through training and experience and information provided by other law enforcement officers that it is very common for a suspect who has sexual interest in children to use both commercially produced pornography and child pornography as a grooming technique to gain the child's trust. Okay, I know that's true. I've seen it in many of these, but I didn't do any of that. And again, no witnesses came forth. Uh, no child pornography was ever found. They didn't represent to the court that there was anything. And when we went to court in October of 2018, the charge that they had down on the charging documents did not say child pornography at all. Did not say CP. It said attempted solicitation of a minor. Now, originally they had solicitation of a minor. I know this because when I was in jail, which I've discussed, or when I was being booked, which I think I discussed in a video, they came running up to me and said, "Here, sign this." And I said, "I'm not signing anything." And they said, "No, this is better. Look, here we had you down for soliciting a real minor, and this is attempted solicitation of a minor." So they knew even as they were booking me that there was no minor, no minor. Now this affidavit, of course, to search my premises. Well, this is something they ran up to me when I bonded out 3 days later. I don't think they expected me to get out of jail because Detective Spotter or representative, it had to have been Spotter, came running up to me and he brought this in front of me and he said, "You need to sign this." And my signature doesn't appear on this, but I signed something, and they were it was supposedly an acknowledgement that they were coming to my house to um to investigate my house, you know, 3 days later. So why did they do that 3 days later if they were so concerned about child pornography? My guess is they were either A, concerned I was going to get there and destroy evidence, or they were trying to trump up some new charges and they weren't sure what they would get. I don't know exactly. But on October 17th, 2018, when we went to pre-trial some months later, Detective Bauer admits A, he contacted me, so I was targeted without reason. It was not personal. He did not indicate I was part of a long-standing investigation. He just said that they were on there because they had heard that people were soliciting minors, and so that was their reason for being on there. They didn't target me specifically, so there was no intent to go after me because they were investigating me for supposedly doing anything with children, as they seem to indicate in this affidavit. Okay. So the charge was 18.2-270, I think, point one, which had to do, and I don't have that document with me. I looked at this afternoon, don't remember. It's 270 something, somewhere in that statute, but it had to do with a real person, and that was dismissed at pretrial. It was dismissed, as I recall, very quickly. The judge asked them what evidence, and they stumbled and bumbled. And the lying Elena Lowe, who now works at the Attorney General's office here in Virginia, that's how you get rewarded. You're very effective lying. And she said, "Oh well, you know, there's we don't really have any evidence, but we know that this happens, and it must have happened." And the judge said, "Do you have any evidence?" And she said, "Well, we really don't have anything." He said, "Well, that charge is dismissed." Okay, so John, it's your move. I don't know what else you think you got, but you can read all the documents. This is not proof. This is an application for a warrant. That's what it is, an application for a warrant, where you have to swear certain things. uh, Police lie. They lie, and there's no consequences. There's no consequences for this, but I will be looking into consequences. I'll also be looking into the ethical behavior of a government employee, a high official who sees that it's his mission to make me look bad. Do you understand, folks, that when you do this and you post these things out there, people call up my employers and the employers of other people who are on the sex offender registry and they say, "Oh, look what we saw online," and you lose your job. That's what happens to people. So you can't function. Now, you may say, "Well, we really don't care." But what if it was an innocent person, as I claim to be, and as I claim that many others are? What if they're innocent? You don't really know. You just assume because they're convicted they couldn't be innocent. So you're harming them. You're harming them and the family. You're harming the community. Because what? You want them at home actually thinking about child pornography all day? You want them at home deep in their mind, dealing with those who have addiction, dealing with their addiction, drinking and behaving badly? Is that what you want? Or do you want them gainfully employed, where they're making a contribution in the community and cleaning up their act, or in my case, trying to get on with my life? Well, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's unbelievable that it has come to this. So, John, I hope you are more careful in the future. I hope you look very, very carefully at the so-called evidence that you think you have. This ain't it. This is Salvo 1. That's all it is. I hope I've answered all of your questions. I've certainly responded to what's in there. Look at my other videos. I think I cover everything in here except for that apparently new reminder that there was some person in there. But because it had been dismissed at pretrial, I never thought anything of it again. But John wants you to believe there was a lot going on there when in fact there wasn't. So if John, if you know the person, please let me know. We can get together with the person. Maybe you should file new charges. That would be fun, wouldn't it? So see what you got. I'm happy to hear it. This is Norman Michaelation, ICAC Unpacked, the 10th of October, 2024. Have a nice day.